Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for subscribing, watching, and tuning in. Today I'm going to go over a few things that I've had questions from various readers and forum users about the nature of the bike and a few of the quirks that a lot of you have been experiencing and contacting me and some of the other people that own this bike that have done videos. First thing, the biggest question I've had is about the engine temperature and whether or not it's getting too hot. Good question. I have the same concern. The temperature gauge on this Kawasaki, being all digital, may not read exactly like you're used to with a car. Normally you see halfway or less on a vehicle. On a motorcycle, you're typically going to run a little bit hotter just because the radiators are so small and they don't have a direct path of air because of the front forks, the tire, fairings if you've got it, kind of deflects the wind around the bike instead of channeled through the bike. Because of that reason, then normal operating temperature is going to be higher. Now also keep in mind that with a newer bike, going through the break-in period, getting the engine loosened up, so to speak, you're going to experience slightly higher than normal operating temperatures. Once I passed the first oil change and service on this, which I did take back to Kawasaki to let them perform that, I have been put in Motovlog synthetic. I use that in all my bikes, and generally all my equipment uses synthetic oil. I've noticed that the operating temperature has dropped down. That was also about the same time that I eliminated this guy right here. This is the pairing valve that I removed so we could get accurate dyno readings. This injects air from the airbox into the exhaust, which creates a hotter burning temperature to get rid of some of the emissions, to make it a little more forgiving with our federal law, especially in California and other states that are really strict on that. I don't know that this played any part of lowering the cooling temperature. The exhaust may have, by allowing more free-flowing gases. I don't know that for certain, but I do know that now that I have going on 1,500 miles on the bike, it does run cooler even with the ambient temperature now being into the mid to upper 80s. We've almost hit 90, I think, here. I do a lot of mountain riding, up the mountain. You've watched my videos and you can see that there's a lot of elevation change where I ride. I gain 3,000 to 4,000 feet in elevation on my normal 2 to 3 hour rides. And the temperature on the bike is now, stays about midway. I sometimes get 1 bar above. If I get stuck in really slow moving traffic, the temperature does creep up. As far as any of you guys that have concerns about it, as long as you are at a complete still, if you can hear the fan come on and run and then cycle off when the temperature drops, you don't have anything to worry about. If the fan is operating appropriately, your bike is okay. If you have any concerns whatsoever and don't think that's significant enough, then take it back to the dealer and explain to them, let them look at it, or they'll tell you what's going on. The other question that I get a lot, get rid of that paperweight, is, what's this noise? Some people don't know what that is. Or that. That is the fuel system. The first one on the ignition on, that's priming the fuel pump. That's getting all the injectors ready to fire the cylinders off, developing pressure so you can go out and ride. Now, the second one is depressurizing the system. That is your throttle system. Now, I'm going to turn it back on. It's primed. Now, when we turn back off, now, what I want you guys to do that have any concern about that, put your right hand on the throttle. Turn the ignition on. You'll hear the prime. It's already primed. Now, Keep your hand on the throttle and turn the ignition switch off. Very lightly. Now, what you're going to feel, the throttle's going to turn itself for you. That's repositioning everything. Throttle position sensor and throttle servo. You're going to experience that. Sounds like a fax machine, someone explained to me. What's that fax machine sound? That's just the fuel system and the throttle system. It's putting itself back to zero. Depressurizing, it's completely normal. I've also had someone ask me what the hissing or whirring noise is after they park the bike, turn the ignition off for a second or two. There's a hissing or a slight whistling noise. When you're low on fuel, just like in your car, when you go to fuel up gas and you pop the gas cap, you hear that whoosh. That's just the fuel system. When you come to a stop after the throttle system zeroes itself back out and you hear that servo, sounds like the fax machine. Your gas tank may depressurize itself if it's low on fuel, the vent lines. And that is the whirring or hissing noise that you hear. Absolutely okay, and that is normal. All fuel systems do it. You don't hear it as much on a vehicle because the gas tank is in the back and underneath the vehicle. The vent lines go under the hood. Being on a motorcycle, it's right here in front of you. You're going to hear noises that just aren't normally heard on other vehicles. Also, people have been asking me about grinding, grating, weird noises as they're going down the road. When you're first breaking in this bike, things are going to typically get loosened up. That's why you really do need to take the bike back to your dealer and let them do the manufacturer's recommended first service. If it's a good, independable dealership, they should go back around and torque bolts, check to make things are still the way they need to be, nothing's gotten loosened out of place. You shouldn't hear any grinding noises. Someone just recently, since last night, asked me about they've located the noise which they think now is their chain, the chain noise that they're hearing, but there is a intermittent grinding noise or grating noise. Now, I'm not sure without hearing that for myself. I've asked this person to email me a sound clip with their cell phone or whatever. Please get back to me because I'm curious myself, but that does not sound like anything normal to me. If you hear anything that sounds like metal on metal, grinding or grating, that is not normal. You may hear buzzing, vibration. This bike, especially since I've put the Yoshimura Alpha exhaust and it's really deep and booming, I do get some vibrations now from the pillion, the rear seat, but I can turn around. You hear, that's the latch. That's normal. There's got to be a little bit of play in it so it functions properly. But if I'm at a stoplight and the exhaust is booming, that'll vibrate sometimes. And I can just reach around and push down on it and it'll stop. And then later I might hear it again. I think in some of my videos now recently, since I've upgraded my audio, you can hear just a little slight, kind of like a buzz, a really light buzz in the background. It's this. It's the seat. So if you're experiencing some of the same things, that's all it is. It's this rear seat cover. I take it off and on every day, every time I ride. So the latches probably could use a little adjustment. And the reason I'm always in and out of that is that's where my tire gauge is. I keep it on the bike. I check my tire pressure, very important, as I mentioned in a previous video. But anyway, buzzing, vibrating, this bike does have vibration, especially in the handlebars around 4,000 to 6,000 RPM. It's mostly when I hear it more than any other time. Now, once I crest 6 to 6,500 RPMs, the vibration decreases, or either my mind is so concentrated on the road that I really don't pay attention to it anymore. The exhaust does create some additional vibration in the seat and the foot pegs just because it's loud and bassy. You probably can't get a true sense of that in my videos because I do a little post-processing to try to reduce the wind noise in my helmet, which takes some of the bass out of the exhaust as well. But trust me, it really makes things vibrate and hum and whiz and whir. Now, the other thing that I had as far as vibration that I solved was under this side where the fuse block and also where I mounted the LED light controls. I had one of the wires from the factory harness was vibrating up against the plastic, and I finally got that one isolated, and I just added a zip tie to it and pulled it into my wiring that I ran for the LEDs. That solved that one. I've had a lot of people talk about the mirror vibration on bar end mirrors. You know, if you remove these end weights, yeah, you're going to get a lot of vibration in these things. Watch my video on how to put these bar end mirrors and keep the weights if you want to know how to do that. Without spending a fortune, they do make the proper adapters if you want to spend like $90 for them, but come on, a little cheap piece of half-inch PVC plastic for $1 and you're done. Let's see. Other quirks of this bike. I've had people ask me about how touchy the throttle is. A couple people went and have test rode these bikes and also the Ninja 650, and they commented about how touchy that throttle is at slow speeds. This bike stock has a tremendous amount of engine braking. That's why in my Short People Can Ride video I said that this is a good second to intermediate bike, but not for the 100% beginner, and that is specifically due to needing throttle control. If you don't have experience with the motorcycle and you get on any kind of loose terrain, a washout in a road with sand, grit, gravel, if you're in a gravel drive, this bike might wipe you out, just because when you barely turn the throttle and let off and then back on the throttle, there's so much engine braking behind it. You have to be extremely careful. Learn how to use this clutch. Learn how to slip that clutch in conjunction with your throttle to smooth out the transition. Again, ever since I have changed the exhaust on the bike, the engine braking is nowhere near as bad. I don't know if it's reduced back pressure, but I can definitely tell a difference. Downshifts are a lot smoother. It has made a difference, and I'm going to try to push further to decrease the amount of engine braking that it's got. I would really like a super smooth transition on and off throttle, seamless if possible. And that's what I'm going to be working toward, and as soon as I get that solved, I'll let you guys know about it. Other issues that I've heard from people: foot peg location. For some of you people that have not yet sat on this bike, it is kind of awkward for a stop or standing position. I know why they put the foot pegs directly where you feel like your legs need to go down. It is for the ride. It is not for the starting, the stopping, the standing. The foot peg position is made for comfort while riding to prevent fatigue. And when you come to a stop, especially me being a shorter guy, man, those pegs are right exactly where I want my legs to be. But unfortunately, that's where they put them. It's not bad. You get used to it. You either put your feet in front or behind, and it actually it helps me a little bit. When I'm stopped on an uphill incline, I will put whatever foot I put down behind the foot peg, and I will kind of let the peg leverage against my shin, and that helps me hold the bike without it rolling. Or I'll put my leg in front, and it gives me something to hold the bike back instead of putting so much pressure on my hips. But again, that may be just a short guy thing. You taller folks, it's not a concern. You've got enough legs that you can get around and over the foot pegs. But for us shorter folks, it's going to feel a little awkward about this bike, but you get used to it, you adapt, because don't let that be a detractor for you. This bike is so super comfortable. I rode for over 4 hours constantly with one stop on Saturday for maybe a 5-minute restroom break. I stopped at one of the little rest areas on the parkway, used the restroom, snapped a photo, and got back on the bike, and I had no fatigue whatsoever. It was wonderful. It was great. The only reason I was out for 4 hours on the parkway is because traffic was moving that slow. But it is what it is. Now, as far as anything else, I can't directly think of any more questions that people have asked me with what they found with their bikes. Again, if you've heard any grinding, grating, metal on metal sounds, you need to take that bike back to the dealership. Without hearing it personally, I really can't diagnose or help you with it. I apologize for that. But you should take it to the dealership. And I also had someone ask me about the adjustments on the hand levers. Apparently, a lot of people don't know what the numbers for the levers are. This is to bring in or out where the brake and the clutch lets out. The lower the number, the closer it is to you. The higher the number, the further away it is. So if you are a smaller individual, such as myself, I keep mine on 3s. You can bring it in even closer than that if you're having trouble. I'm getting ready to swap these out to shorties. I don't like long levers at all. Never have. Just waiting on something decent to hit the market to put on here. Don't really want to buy knockoffs, and I don't really want to spend the money that CRG wants. They think all their stuff's gold, and it's good. It's what's on the other bike, but no, I don't think I'm gonna spend that money on this one. So be looking for that. I'm gonna do an install on that before too long, whenever something comes in. Still waiting on the rapid bike system. For anyone that's wondering, I'm not able to order that yet. And actually, I need to contact Freddie and see if I can order it. I haven't actually talked to him this week. He's been really busy now that race season's kicked back up. I can't really think of any other questions. I can't think of anything that I've experienced. Vibration under one of the covers from a wiring harness. The pillion, you get a little bit of buzzing from that. You will, of course, hear the chain. It should not be overly loud as long as you keep it lubricated. There is vibration in the handlebars, a little bit through the chassis, like I said, between 4,000 and 6,000 RPM, somewhere in that range. After I did the LED conversion, I did have a little bit of buzz up here, but I found that it was because of my driver. It's a separate driver on my lamp that I use. Had come out of where I put it, so I fixed that. I re-secured it, and that solved that issue. But other than that, it's been a great bike. I'm extremely happy with it. It's agile. The fuel economy, even after exhaust and as much up and down the mountain as I go, it's 55, 56 averaging mile per gallon. Had a few people request that I give 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 kilometer times. Don't really have anything to do that with or time myself, so you probably won't get that information from me. If you haven't checked it out, there's a forum just for this bike, Kawasaki Z650.com. Check it out. I'm active on there with a lot of other guys. We've been tearing these bikes apart, doing all kind of modifications, trying universal parts out on them. We're trying to put a collective group of information together so that future people in the next year or two, if they still manufacture this bike, which I'm pretty certain they will have a place to go and can get a lot of their questions answered. And for you guys that keep asking me, go to those forums and you can contact me directly there. You can contact me on my website at Tremonte.tv. That is the website. Its email is Tremont@Tremont.tv. Please go by there, check it out. I'm starting to write some blogs that go along with these videos. I'd really appreciate any feedback from you guys, you viewers. If you enjoy watching my videos, please hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more. As soon as this terrible rain stops, I'll be out riding some more. Ride safe, and remember, to ride is to live.